Last month, a heat wave killed around 1,000 people in France in just 3 days. 85% of them were over 65. Right now, as you're watching this, tens of millions of Americans are under a heat alert. And here's something almost nobody says out loud. Most people who die in a heat wave die at home, sitting in a chair. Some of them with a fan running just a few feet away, doing exactly what they'd done every summer of their lives. Because somewhere after 60, your body quietly loses a big part of its ability to cool itself, and no one takes the time to warn you it's happening. There are 5 mistakes that turn ordinary hot weather into an emergency. A couple of them are things you might be doing right now, convinced they're keeping you cool. Stay with me, because getting even one of these wrong is what sends people to the emergency room. Let's start with the thing that ties all 5 of these mistakes together, because once you understand it, every one of them makes sense. Your body has a built-in cooling system. When you get too warm, your heart pumps more blood out to the surface of your skin, where it can release heat into the air, and you sweat. As that sweat evaporates, it carries the heat away with it. It's a remarkable system, and for most of your life it works so well you never even think about it. Here's what changes. Somewhere after 60, that system starts running weaker on 3 separate fronts. You sweat less and later than you used to, so you lose one of your main ways to get rid of heat. Your sense of temperature and thirst both dull, so your body stops sounding the alarm as loudly. And an older heart has a harder time pumping all that extra blood to the skin, especially if it's already working against high blood pressure or heart disease. None of this means you're frail. It happens to strong, active, healthy people. It's simply biology, and almost no one tells you about it. There's one more thing that decides how dangerous a hot day really is, and the plain temperature on the forecast hides it from you: humidity. Your main cooling tool is sweat evaporating off your skin and carrying heat away. But when the air is already thick with moisture, that sweat has nowhere to go. It just drips off you and does almost nothing to cool you down. That's why 90 degrees in a dry desert and 90 degrees in a humid, sticky climate are 2 completely different days for your body. Always check the heat index, not just the plain temperature, and look at the forecast the night before a heat wave hits. Every mistake I'm about to walk you through comes down to one question. Is this helping your body get rid of heat, or is it quietly sabotaging a cooling system that's already running on a thinner margin than it used to? Keep that in mind, and let's get into it. The first mistake is trusting a fan to keep you safe. I know how that sounds, because a fan feels like the obvious answer. The air moves, your skin feels cooler, and you assume you're protected. And in mild heat, you are. A fan helps your sweat evaporate, and that cools you down. But there's a temperature where a fan stops helping and starts hurting you, and that's the part that catches people off guard. CDC and EPA guidance is direct about this. When the air in a room climbs into the mid-90s or higher, an electric fan will not prevent heat-related illness. Above that threshold, the air itself is hotter than your skin, so instead of carrying heat away from you, the fan is blowing hot air across your body, and that can actually push your core temperature up. And because that moving air still feels like a breeze, it fools you. You feel a little cooler right up until the moment you're in trouble. In fairness, the science here has gotten more nuanced recently. Some newer research suggests that in humid heat, a fan can still help even above that threshold, while it becomes clearly harmful mainly in extremely hot, dry conditions. But since telling the two apart precisely in your own home isn't simple, the safer guidance to follow is still the CDC and EPA recommendation. Don't rely on a fan alone when it's genuinely very hot. Here's what to do instead. In genuinely dangerous heat, a fan alone is not enough. The single strongest thing that protects you is air conditioning, and even a few hours a day in air conditioning meaningfully lowers your risk. If you have it, use it, and don't worry about the electric bill on the worst days. This is your health. If you don't have air conditioning at home, this is the day to go somewhere that does: a cooling center, a library, a shopping mall, a friend's house. A few hours in real cool air resets your body. And if you're using a fan, make it work harder for you by wetting your skin. A cool damp cloth on your neck, a spray bottle. A cool shower gives that fan something to evaporate, so it actually pulls heat away. Don't underestimate a plain cool shower. It's one of the fastest ways to bring your core temperature down when a room has gotten too warm, faster than a fan, and faster than a cold drink. Loose, light, pale-colored clothing helps too, because it lets whatever sweat you do make actually evaporate. The second mistake is failing to account for the medications you take. This is where being over 60 stacks the deck, because this is the age when most people are on at least one daily prescription, And several of the most common ones quietly interfere with the exact cooling system we just talked about. Let me name them specifically, because you deserve specifics, not vague warnings. Water pills, the diuretics millions of people take for blood pressure or swelling, pull fluid out of your body on purpose. That's their job. But in a heat wave, when you're also losing fluid through sweat, they can push you into dehydration faster, and they can dull your sense of thirst so you don't feel it coming. Beta blockers, another huge blood pressure category, do two specific things the CDC warns about in hot weather. They can reduce how much you sweat, and they can lower your heart's ability to pump that extra blood to your skin, shutting down two of your main cooling tools at once. And a whole class called anticholinergics, which shows up in some bladder medications, certain antidepressants, and even some over-the-counter sleep and allergy pills, can directly shut down sweating. None of this means these drugs are bad. They're keeping your blood pressure and your heart where they need to be, and that matters. Which brings me to the most important sentence in this whole section. Never stop or skip one of these medications just because it's hot out. That can be far more dangerous than the heat itself. What you do instead is plan around them. If you take any of these, you're simply at higher risk on a hot day, and you need to be more aggressive about staying cool and hydrated than someone who takes nothing. Before the next heat wave, call your doctor's office or ask your pharmacist one simple question. Which of my medications affect how I handle heat, and is there anything I should adjust on the hottest days? That's a 5-minute conversation most people never have, and it's one of the highest value things you can do. The third mistake is waiting until you feel thirsty to drink. For most of your life, thirst was a reliable alarm. Your body needed water, thirst told you, you drank, problem solved. But remember what I said about that cooling system dulling with age. Your thirst signal is part of it, and it's one of the first things to fade. Older adults simply feel less thirsty than younger people, even when their bodies are genuinely low on fluid. Add a water pill to that, add the extra fluid you're sweating out in the heat, and you can slide into real dehydration without your body ever raising its hand to warn you. By the time you actually feel parched on a hot day, you're already behind. So you can't use thirst as your guide anymore. You have to drink on a schedule whether you feel like it or not. On a hot day, keep a glass or a bottle of water within arm's reach and sip from it steadily through the whole day, not in a few big gulps. A rough target for most people is a glass of water every hour or so during a hot day, more if you're active or sweating, unless your doctor has told you to limit your fluids. A simple way to check if it's working is to look at the color of your urine. If it's pale, close to the color of light straw, you're doing well. If it's dark and concentrated, you're behind and need to catch up. One honest caution, because it connects back to mistake 2. A small number of people, mainly those with advanced heart failure or kidney disease, are told by their doctor to limit their fluids. If that's you, this general rule bends, and your doctor's specific guidance wins. For everyone else, steady water through a hot day is one of the simplest things that keeps you out of trouble. And if you're sweating a lot for hours, plain water alone isn't quite enough, because you're also losing salt and minerals. That's the moment for a glass with some electrolytes, a bit of juice, or a salty snack, to keep your body's chemistry balanced. One more thing on fluids. Alcohol and a lot of caffeine both pull fluid out of you, so a couple of beers or several cups of coffee in the heat quietly push you the wrong way, right when you can least afford it. You don't have to give them up, just match each one with an extra glass of water, and go easy when it's truly dangerous outside. The fourth mistake is trusting your own body to tell you when your home has become dangerous. We've already touched on why. When your temperature and thirst signals dull, you lose the internal warning that used to keep you safe. And here's the cruel part. On a slow, creeping hot afternoon, your house heats up degree by degree, so gradually that you adjust to it without noticing. You feel warm, maybe a little tired, maybe a bit foggy, and you tell yourself you're fine. Meanwhile, the room around you has climbed past the point where your weakened cooling system can keep up. This is why the majority of heat deaths happen indoors, not out in the sun, and it's why, according to CDC data, the heat-related death rate is markedly higher among older adults than any other age group, with the risk climbing even further after age 85. The fix here is to stop trusting the feeling, because the feeling itself is what's broken. Instead, you trust a number and you trust a person. Put a cheap thermometer where you can see it and know your line. When the room you're in is pushing past the mid-80s and climbing, especially during a hot week, don't tough it out. That's the time to get to cooler air. A few simple moves also keep your home from turning into that trap in the first place. Close the blinds and curtains on the sunny side of the house during the day, so you're not letting the sun bake your rooms while you sit in them. Remember that heat rises, so an upstairs bedroom can be several degrees hotter than the ground floor. On a brutal day, Sit and sleep in the lowest, coolest room you have. And if you have errands, yard work, or a walk you want to take, do it in the early morning or after the sun drops in the evening, staying out of the direct sun in the middle of the day, roughly 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., when it's at its most punishing. Set up a buddy system too. If you live alone, arrange for one person, a neighbor, a daughter, a friend, to check on you every single day during a heat wave, in person or by phone, and do the same for someone else. Half the tragedy in these stories is that the person had no idea they were in danger, and nobody was checking in. A single daily check-in saves lives. The fifth mistake is not knowing the difference between being overheated and being in a genuine emergency, because that difference is the line between a scare and a death, and it comes down to a handful of signs. There are two stages here, and you need to be able to tell them apart. The first is heat exhaustion, your body waving a red flag while it can still be saved easily. The signs are heavy sweating, skin that's cool and clammy, muscle cramps, feeling weak, dizzy, or nauseated, a headache, a fast but weak pulse. If you catch it here, the fix is simple and it works. Stop everything, get into a cool place or the shade, lie down, loosen your clothing, sip cool water, and put cool, wet cloths on your skin, especially your neck, your armpits, and your groin, where big blood vessels run close to the surface. Give it a little time, and heat exhaustion usually turns around. But if it's missed, it can tip over into the second stage. Heat stroke, which is a true call, 911, right, now medical emergency. According to the CDC, heat stroke is when your core temperature climbs to around 104 degrees or higher, and your body's cooling has completely failed. Here are the signs that must scare you into action. Confusion, slurred speech, or a person just not acting right, not making sense. Skin that's often gone hot and dry, because the sweating has shut down. A pounding, rapid pulse, a throbbing headache, fainting, or loss of consciousness. That confusion, that change in how a person is thinking and behaving, is the single most important warning sign, and it's the one families brush off as tiredness or old age. Don't brush it off. At 104 degrees and rising, the body starts to damage its own organs, brain included, and every minute counts. If you ever see those signs in yourself or someone else, call 911 immediately. While you wait, get the person into cool air, get them into a cool shower or bath if you can, or put ice packs and cold, wet cloths on the neck, armpits, and groin, and keep them there. Cooling them fast in those first minutes, before the ambulance even arrives, is what saves the brain and saves the life. One important caution: if the person is confused, drowsy, or has passed out, don't try to give them water to drink, because in that state they can choke on it, turning one emergency into two. Keep cooling them from the outside with cold cloths and ice at the neck, armpits, and groin, and let the paramedics handle any fluids once they arrive. Let's bring the 5 together so you can act on them today. 1. Don't trust a fan alone in serious heat. Above the mid-90s, it can make things worse, so get into air conditioning for at least a few hours, and wet your skin if you're using a fan. 2. Know your medications. Water pills, beta blockers, and some bladder, sleep, and allergy pills all make heat more dangerous, so ask your doctor or pharmacist what to do on the hottest days, and never stop a medication on your own. 3. Don't wait until you're thirsty. Drink on a schedule, and check that your urine stays pale. 4. Don't trust the feeling that you're fine. Trust a thermometer, and set up someone to check on you every day during a heat wave, and check on someone else too. 5. Learn the signs of heat stroke, confusion, hot dry skin, a pounding pulse, fainting. If you see them, call 911 and start cooling the person immediately, because minutes decide everything. None of this costs much. None of it is complicated. Every single one is a lever you already hold in your own hand, and any one of them can be the thing that gets you or someone you love safely to the other side of this summer. If this video was helpful, leave a like. If you have constructive feedback for me, write it in the comments. See you in the next video.